Anthem Blue Cross and Common Threads are helping schools across the country learn about healthier food preparation. And here in LA, they're joined by the Sparks and will provide education, recipes, and knowledge to students and families about healthier options. Learn more at anthem.com/ca/sparks. Anthem Blue Cross is the trade name of Blue Cross of California.
New on Curiosity Stream.
I'm James Burke. I'm going to take you on a journey through time.
James Burke's visionary series returns, reimagined for our time.
Now, this is all uncharted territory.
The Washington Post hails Burke as one of the most intriguing minds in the Western world. The New York Times raves he careens from one great moment in history to another.
Where do we want to go from here?
Experience all new connections.
So what's the next connection?
With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at curiositystream.com.
Welcome to Pretty Lies and Alibis. Join us as we seek the truth and travel the long road to justice. Hi, everybody. It's Wednesday, and we have something entirely different for you guys today. It feels weird.
Yeah, very weird.
So we've talked for a couple of months, and if you guys have listened to some previous episodes, you know we've been back and forth about covering different cases. And just with our lives and everything we both have going on, initially we didn't think we would have time to take on any other case. But we kind of decided in the last few weeks that we're going to. So that's what we're doing tonight.
After your oldest daughter said, y'all gotta do something else.
I know my oldest daughter loves true crime podcasts, although she doesn't listen to us.
Yeah, she doesn't like us.
It's just too weird, I think.
Yeah.
But she has been on us for weeks saying, you guys need to pick up other cases, you know, and she's right.
Yep.
Because the news with this case has been pretty slow lately. And so we're going to pick up the Gannon Stauch case.
Yep.
And so we're going to get to that, but we have a couple of updates about the Vallow case, people associated with the Vallows.
Yep. So Brandon won that defamation lawsuit.
I saw that.
A big $12 million.
Well deserved, I might say.
Yeah. Yeah, what they said about him and everything was horrible.
It was so bad, what they accused him of, and with no proof, obviously. But I mean, even saying that his family was hiding child molestation and murders and kidnappings and just all kinds of really crazy stuff.
Technically, that was Melanie's family.
Yeah.
Was doing all that.
Right, yeah. What do you call that, projection?
Yeah.
Where you say somebody else is doing it. But, so the bottom line was that Brandon won $12 million and they settled.
Yeah.
So I think, I mean, this guy's an attorney and he has a certain code of ethics he has to abide by. And certainly trying to smear somebody in the media is not ethical.
Yeah, and this is the same attorney who, Garrett Smith, him and his wife, and I couldn't remember the other attorney's name. That was also called, I don't even remember, but off the top of my head, but his I remember because
we've heard that name a few times lately.
Yeah, because he was on the other thing with it just left me. Wow, where was I going?
With the recording.
Yes, with the recording
in the police station with Summer Shiflett.
So,
which resulted in them trying to have Rob Wood, the prosecutor, removed from the case.
Exactly.
No dice. The judge.
I don't know.
So I wonder if Rob Wood ever apologized.
It would be interesting.
I was listening back to that podcast to make sure like our sounds were good, and you get so tickled when I'm going through and I'm like, and the judge thought maybe there would be an apology would be the nice thing to do. And you just lose it.
Yeah. It was funny. It was like kindergarten.
Yeah.
You better apologize. Yeah. So
I've heard some people online just putting their 2 cents in that, oh my gosh, $12 million. That's ridiculous. And I don't know. I mean, look, this dude's a lawyer. He's a professional, and we put out on our social media last night, actually, the press release that this came from. Take it upon yourself to go read it and think about somebody who was drug into this, didn't ask to be put in this situation, and then have the stuff put out internationally about you, I think $12 million is just about right.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why you sue. I mean, it's stupid to sue McDonald's for hot coffee in your lap. That's a frivolous lawsuit, although that person got really rich.
Yeah, now they have hot coffee on the side of their cups.
Yeah. But to me, it's kind of like, this is why people carry insurance. When you make a big mistake like that, you should expect to get sued.
Yeah.
So the other news is what?
Colby and Kelsey and their daughter moved to Rexburg.
Which I was shocked.
I was. I didn't expect it. I know he's been up there, several times. I didn't expect it, but I mean, good for him. I mean, if that's where he needs to be, like he's the only one. Him and his wife, they know their mental state and what they need for themselves. So if that's what helps him heal, I mean, go for it, dude.
I agree. And there's no telling. All I know is I haven't watched the live that they did a couple of days ago on their YouTube page, but I did watch the one where they were going to the gym in the car, and Colby had the most swollen face, and his eyes, you could tell he had been crying, and they acknowledged that he was just having a bad day.
Yeah.
And so I think with Colby, you've kind of seen the stages of grief with him, just what little he's been in the public eye. And it just seems like right now, maybe he's kind of hitting that reality phase.
Yeah.
Where it just hits you, you have the 7 stages of grief. And so one of them is like, I don't know that it's the last. I think the last one is more like resolution, but somewhere in there is sort of just like the reality of it hits you.
Yeah.
And these aren't just natural or accidental deaths. These are brutal murders.
Yep.
That drug on for months. So I can't say that I understand what Colby's going through. So if he feels like that's where he needs to be, like you said, good for them.
Yeah.
I think they'll definitely have a good support system there. The people in Rexburg seem amazing.
Yeah. And travel, you would have to think when these trials start coming up, traveling, because, he wants to be there.
Right. Yeah.
So traveling would just be an astronomical amount for him going back and forth. So, and I know I've seen people say, well, it may not even be there. It may be in, Boise.
I just don't feel like it's anybody's place to tell Colby what he should be doing with his life.
Yeah.
But
I can tell you, nobody told me today what to do.
Well, my kids did, but I ignored them and just went on my day.
Yeah.
So that was kind of the big stuff with the Vallow case. We really haven't had much more. We're still, I haven't heard anything else about the cell phone deal.
Nope.
So we kind of went through a list of cases that we want to cover just over time. This Gannon Stauch was one. And then we talked about the Roden murders, which are the family of 8 that were killed in one night by the accused is a family of 4. It seems to be a child custody dispute at the heart of this case. So we're going to get into that in a few weeks. We're going to keep an eye on the McMichaels trial down in Georgia for, I think it was the jogger. Yeah. It was the jogger that was shot and killed by the father and the son, and then the neighbor
filmed it.
Was filmed it. They're all 3 in jail without bail, waiting on a trial. And so, but we wanted to do this one because this case has a lot coming out about it on a regular basis, it seems.
And we're still going to do the Vallow stuff. Don't panic.
Oh, yeah. As soon as there's news in that case, we're back on. But right now, our goal is to do a new episode every Wednesday and every Sunday at least.
Yep.
If there's breaking news or something big happens, we're in a position to where we can pick up whenever we kind of want. So, but for right now, Wednesday, Sundays are kind of the new episode days. I think we probably could reasonably expect them by like 8:00 at night.
Yep.
It's hard, with both of us to kind of coordinate time to get together for a whole day, because it takes a whole day sometimes. Even with the Vallow case stuff, we just go over things. And this has been daunting with this case, trying to learn a year's worth of stuff in a couple of days.
Yep.
So we've had our nose buried in this, and we don't have a good grasp on a lot of things yet. So if you hear a screw up, drop us some comments. You guys are good about that, and we appreciate it. So we're going to get started on this. You read a very interesting statistic from the FBI.
Yeah, it was it was big for me. I'd never seen this. So the FBI did a study, and it said 71% of homicide cases with false reporting, the reporting party is the one responsible.
Yeah, that's correct. 71%.
I was like,
that's a big number.
That's huge.
Yeah. I mean, right out of the gate, this smelled to high heaven. But we're going to get into this now. So we know the next hearing in this case is the preliminary hearing on March the 11th and the 12th. We're going to live tweet that and cover it like we did with like we are doing with the Vallow case. So what charges is she facing?
So she has first degree, and she is Letitia Stauch.
I think it's Stauch.
Stauch. I've heard 10 million different.
Yeah, me too.
So first degree murder after deliberation, first degree murder of a person under 12 by someone in a position of trust, child abuse resulting in death, tampering with a deceased human body, tampering with physical evidence, 7 counts of a crime of violence for using a weapon. The weapons listed in the complaint include a firearm, blunt object, and sharp object, and 1 count of a crime of violence causing severe bodily injury or death.
So initially, what investigators noticed about her were just some oddities about her behavior, which included getting a rental car. We're going to go in detail about all this stuff. If you're new to the case, you're learning this with us. If you know this case front to back, this is probably going to be about a week of boring episodes, and we're sorry.
But you can listen anyways.
That's right.
Can I just tell you where my mind went when I first started reading all this stuff?
Where?
Okay, this is going to tell my age because this movie is like old, but it's like the original Superman when he starts circling the earth, going back in time so he can save Lois Lane.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, if her nose was Pinocchio, like it would like go around the earth that many times. Like how many lies come out of this?
Yeah, it's we were just talking about the common theme of mothers or stepmothers that kill. It's just always like the biggest whoppers.
Yeah.
They don't plan these things out very good.
And they think that the police are not going to investigate and ask any questions.
I mean, they assume the police are horrible at their jobs.
Yeah.
But I'm going to say for me, it almost just with what I've read, and we pretty much, the two of us have just gotten familiar with from the day he was missing until her arrest. I'm going to say, just from what I've seen, it doesn't really seem like this was a planned murder. I don't get that feeling.
Yeah.
It just seems really chaotic and just frantic almost, like with the cleaning supplies, but we'll get there.
Yeah.
So her getting a rental car, disconnecting her cell phone from service for long periods of time.
Like who does that?
Nobody. People that are hiding something or cheating on their spouse or whatever.
That don't want to know.
Yeah, where you're at.
Yeah.
Apparently Alex Cox didn't do that because that's how we nailed him down to Chad's yard.
Exactly.
Abnormal patterns of travel, continually evolving story of events, and then she left Colorado. So all those things were red flags to investigators in the early days.
Did you say false report of rape? I don't know if you did or not.
I did.
Okay, sorry, I missed it.
Did you zone out?
I was zoning. Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, so we're starting on January 26th.
Yeah, so they went hiking at the Garden of the Gods. It was Gannon, Tisha, and Lena.
Yes. And
they went hiking.
We were talking right before we came on. Did we call her Letitia, Tisha, or T? And Fruit Loop said, what'd you say?
I think I said, you call her a big liar.
You said, I'm going to call her stupid.
Oh, that's what I said.
So let us know what most people are calling her because we just don't know yet.
Yep.
Okay, so then we go into January 27th, and that's the day Gannon was murdered.
Yep. He stayed home from school that day. Letitia told Al, which is his dad, that Gannon had been having some stomach problems. She informed the school that he would be absent that day.
Now, we need to do a who's who for everybody who's listening that might not know. So, obviously, there's Gannon, age 11 at his death. Letitia is the stepmom, and she does have a prior record in North Carolina. She has 2 different convictions. One for communicating threats, which was a misdemeanor, and unauthorized use of a motor vehicle. She was sentenced to 45 days confinement and 18 months probation. Then she had a teaching certificate. It was suspended on May 11th, 2016. She filed a claim of harassment and retaliation, and she was found to have breached her contract by engaging in unprofessional conduct, willingly neglecting her duty, and failing to comply with the provisions of her contract.
Yep.
So you have to kind of do something pretty big for that to happen.
Oh, yeah.
We both worked in education, and we've seen a lot of people get some slap on the wrist. But,
yep.
You know, in order to get your teaching license revoked or certificate, whatever she had, usually it's a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
You mentioned that Al is Gannon's dad.
Yep.
And he's in the National Guard, and he wasn't there when Gannon went missing, right?
No, he was National Guard. They normally go like every other weekend for training. So,
but I think he was supposed to have been gone for an extended time. I think it was a couple of months that Gannon was going to be home with Letitia. So, but he was away for training when Gannon was murdered.
Yep. And then you have Harley Hunt, who is Letitia's biological daughter. Mm-hmm. Lena is Gannon's younger sister, his biological sister. She's 8.
And that is Al and Landon's daughter. And Landon is Al's ex-wife.
Yep, which is Gannon's biological mom.
And Lena's. Is it Lena?
Yep, Lena. Yep.
Yeah. And she is from South Carolina, which we are too. So where they arrested Letitia, I have a house in that city. So the next time we go to Myrtle Beach, we are going to stop in Loris to see Gannon's resting place.
Yep.
It's not far. It's maybe 10 minutes off the road for us. So we'll later on, probably in spring, post some pictures of that. And then we have Brenda, I think it's Acquard.
Yeah.
It's Letitia's aunt. So those are the people that we wanted to mention in the who's who for those of you like us who don't know this case front to back yet.
Yeah.
And they lived in a middle to upper class neighborhood in Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs is really beautiful. I love Garden of the Gods. But really beautiful area of the country that they lived in. Apparently T and Landon played softball together here in South Carolina on the same leaguer team. Al and T met playing softball as well. There's been some rumors, but we kind of don't go there. But I guess you can do the math of those rumors. All right. So let's get back to our timeline.
All right. So she called her work. So after she called the school and said Gannon wouldn't be there, she called her work and told them that her stepdad had been hit and killed by a car.
Jeez.
She sent that message around 4:37 a.m.
Okay. So here's my thought. If you are going to call in sick to work, it might have been a little easier to say I got a fever or I got a stomach virus.
Or my stepson is sick.
Yeah. I mean, to say your stepdad was hit and killed by a car.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, that's a whopper.
That's like.
She's like really reaching there.
Yeah.
So there were some photos on her phone that they found.
Yep.
Of Gannon asleep in the bed. And those were taken at 8:13 and 8:17 on the morning of the 27th.
Yep. His Nintendo Switch was seen in the photo, those photos you're talking about. Mm-hmm. His dad said it meant a
New on Curiosity Stream.
I'm James Burke. I'm going to take you on a journey through time.
James Burke's visionary series returns. reimagined for our time.
Now, this is all uncharted territory.
The Washington Post hails Burke as one of the most intriguing minds in the Western world. The New York Times raves he careens from one great moment in history to another.
Where do we want to go from here?
Experience all new Connections.
So what's the next connection?
With monthly, annual, and bundled plans, find the one that works for you at CuriosityStream.com.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
A lot to him. There was a Google search to see. Later on, there was a Google search to see if you could track a Nintendo Switch, track the location. And you can't. So they're thinking she may have gotten rid of it because it hasn't been found.
Yeah, and that might be why she did that search, because if she were going to try to set this up as a runaway situation, probably the first red flag would be if his Nintendo Switch was still there.
Yeah.
So she probably had to Google search to see, can you trace it? And then when she couldn't, whenever she took him, we don't know if that was found on him or not, but apparently she wanted to make sure it wasn't in the house because it probably would have raised some flags with Al at least.
Yep. About the first lie.
Yeah.
So you on video, you see Letitia and Gannon are seen getting into a truck at about 10:16 a.m.
Yeah, and that's from the neighbors' surveillance who came forward a few days after Gannon was missing.
Mr. Drayton.
Yes.
Yep.
So Letitia told authorities that she went to look for a bike that was for sale, kind of in an isolated area, and whoops, she says she left her phone at home, but she had her Apple Watch. Now, I think they did verify through the Apple Watch that she was maybe where she said she was that day. I don't know. That's kind of the vibe I got, but I could be wrong.
Yeah.
And then there is a text to Harley at 10:37 a.m. Harley is Letitia's daughter, who was at work at this time. And it says, Tisha left her phone at home. If you need her, text me.
And that was from Gannon's phone.
Right.
Yep.
And so investigators thought that, number one, her leaving her phone at home and was suspicious because they were able to pull her data and found out that she was on Facebook and Facebook Messenger for a total of 10.7 hours within just a couple of days.
Yeah.
And then what was the other red flag?
That she left her phone home all day and didn't open it until she'd been back home for like 25 to 30 minutes. And
yeah,
I mean, there's activity detected upstairs and downstairs from their ADT security system.
Yeah.
So it's odd. I'm going to be honest with you. When I get in the car, that's the first thing I feel. Do I have my phone?
Yeah. And not only that, but the really rare times where I forget my phone, when I come in, what do?
It's the first place you look, check to see if you have any calls or texts.
Exactly. So 25 minutes she's home and there's activity upstairs and downstairs. It seems like she's busy.
Yep. So at 11:22, she went to Petco, and this is confirmed by receipts and surveillance. And Gannon was not seen anywhere on any of the cameras or anything. Mm-hmm. At 12:06, Al texts Gannon, "Hey, buddy." The text was answered at 1:21, and it says, "Can I play Zelda at least?" And Al replies, "Not today."
Yeah, and then for 2 hours between 11:22 and 1:22, they're not really sure where she was.
Yeah.
But then at 1:22, she's seen at the same Petco making another purchase.
Yeah, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah, I don't know. I was almost thinking, what would you go get Petco? I mean, they had a dog, right? I think they had a dog or they had pets. So. Yeah. But for me, I'm thinking, all right, is it a situation where she's getting like carpet cleaner? Because Petco has all that fancy stain remover pet carpet stuff. But at that time, investigators don't think he was dead. So I don't know. But I have questions about him not returning home with her. So we'll get to that later.
Yeah.
See, I'm getting ahead of myself.
You're getting ahead.
My neurons are firing off every direction.
So at 1:43, there was a search on Gannon's phone. Can my parent find my cell phone if it's off?
Yeah.
So the detectives thought that was significant because it would be assumed only Al would want to know, not Letitia.
Right, because it put parent, not parents.
Yeah.
And subconsciously, Letitia knows, she knows where that phone is.
Yeah.
And so I guess that's maybe the subconscious thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So Al texts Gannon again at 1:55 and says, "Hey, buddy." There's no movement from inside the house between 10:12 and 2:22.
Right, because at that point, Lena was at school.
Yep.
Harley was at work, and we saw Gannon get in the car with Letitia. So,
yeah,
house is empty.
Yep.
So at 2:19, the truck is seen pulling back into the driveway. It's backed in the driveway, and Letitia is seen getting out, but we don't see Gannon. And the neighbor, I think, he talked about really watching this video, trying to find anything, right? Like for 30 minutes. He said he watched it like 30 times.
Yeah. Yeah.
And what was he looking for?
He was seeing if what he said was the day before Gannon was like running around when he got out of the car. They were like running around the yard, and then he runs up the steps and goes in the house.
Mm-hmm.
He claimed on the video that we were talking about earlier when they got in the truck that he was moving very slow.
Yeah.
That he was moving slow. So he was trying to determine if Gannon got out of the truck when they got back.
Yeah.
And he said he never saw him get out of the truck.
Right.
He said you can actually hear her locking the truck.
Mm-hmm.
As she gets out and shuts her door, she locks the truck. So he didn't see anything.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't know if police look further into some of those times, and
right, or somebody on the other side of the truck,
sure.
if their house was over there, if they had a ring, we don't know. I mean, as with pretty much any huge cases in the media, they're not going to release everything they have.
Sure.
But this is just where I get confused because, to me, I agree with the guy that he was walking super slow.
Yeah.
So I guess my theory, or what I'm wondering is it possible that he was injured enough when they left that morning and you didn't see him come back? I would just assume that she had killed him at some point between when they weren't there.
Yeah.
So I guess that's where I'm really super confused, is if he wasn't seen coming home, how do they think he got back in the house? So maybe that they do have something else.
Yeah. Yep.
But it's, yeah.
Yeah. So, evidence shows a violent event with blood splatter on the walls and blood stains on the mattress. Obviously, something had been cleaned.
Yeah.
Because they found blood in the outlet.
Yeah, when they moved the plate.
They removed the plate on the outlet, and there was blood behind that. So obviously, there had been some cleaning done.
But here's the thing. I don't think they saw this the first go around.
No, I don't either.
It wasn't until the next time they were there.
Yeah.
That I think that maybe what sparked everything was when they removed that wall plate and found the blood.
And I mean, they would have had to have a search warrant by then.
Yeah, they had the crime scene out there and everything, I think, for a lot of that day.
Yeah.
But
their original time in the house was just because they thought that he had just run away.
Right. But I mean, to me, what's kind of freaky is kind of the theory that maybe his body was in the trunk when they were conducting the search.
Yeah.
You got to be crazy to think, what if they had said, "Hey, let's check your trunk"?
Yeah.
I mean, driving around with these bodies and stuff in the car like Alex did with Tylee and JJ.
Yeah.
I mean, what if she'd have got pulled over at some point?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah.
So there was also blood soaked through the carpet pad, and onto the concrete. They believe Gannon's body was brought through the house into the garage and put into her Volkswagen Tiguan, which I had never heard of that vehicle.
I haven't either.
Till this time. her phone was locked at 9:56 a.m. and not opened until 2:45, which was 30 minutes after she got home.
Now, I have an Apple Watch, but I actually haven't worn it in a while because my son forgot the password that he borrowed. Like when he borrowed my watch, he changed the email to his notification and then forgot the password. So I haven't had one for about a year. Is it still a situation to where you can't get independent calls on your watch? You have to have your phone nearby?
No, the new ones you can have your watch just by itself.
Oh, okay.
Yep.
Okay. I didn't know that.
Yep. I think it's the 4. The 4 was an upgrade. No. Yeah. No, it might be the 3. I have the one you can do that with, but I was like, I ain't paying $10 a month just so I can do that.
No.
So
I mean, you look like Knight Rider.
Yeah.
Like
I know,
talking
right?
into your watch.
Yeah. My point, I always have my phone with me. So
yeah.
But yeah, so she could have, if she has that phone, she could have had her watch.
Yeah,
but
still,
the thing is, it's going to track her.
Well, but I think the bigger point is she might not have thought that watch could track her. You just don't know. But I mean, I think what was significant is she left her phone.
Yep.
And didn't check it for a half hour after they were home.
Yeah.
So,
here comes the big whopper. Come on now.
Oh man. Why is it that women go, it almost seems like the default accusation when women are backed in a corner and they've done something really bad is to accuse somebody of rape.
Yeah.
Or molestation.
Yeah. What's crazy for this is, rape is a very real thing.
Oh gosh, yes.
And you have people like her who make this up, and it's not something to make up.
It just seems to be a pattern. Lori did it about Joe.
Yep.
She did it about, clearing her name for a murder. But it's almost like, if you remember on that recording that was made where Lori's talking, she does talk about murder.
Yeah.
With Joe.
Yeah.
And so, I mean,
here comes that 71% deal again. False.
But the reason was the baseless claims or the unproven claims that he molested the kids.
Yeah.
So
yeah,
it just seems to me like it's a go-to
for
women that are super in trouble.
Yeah. And just her whole story, like,
it changed so much.
Oh, it changed. It was like she told everybody a different story. And this makes a ton of sense. She was being raped in the basement, went up to the door because Lane was coming home. Lena was coming home.
Mm-hmm.
Told her to go out and play outside and went back down and
let him finish raping her.
Yeah. Like, that makes no sense.
No. And it's just a slap in the face to any man or woman or, that has been a victim.
Yeah.
To just, it almost seems like a knee-jerk reaction with killer women.
Yeah.
I don't know if they think it might invoke sympathy or if they kind of are of that mindset that in today's society, you don't doubt victims until there's a reason to.
Sure.
So it's just deflection.
Yeah. So she makes up says, she's being raped in the basement. At 3:15 is when Letitia said she last saw Gannon.
Mm-hmm. Now, in according to her and what they pulled from digital stuff, it also in the middle of being raped, she was doing Google searches.
Yes.
On her phone.
Yes.
So I forgot about that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Crazy. So Lena returns from school. Letitia tells her that Gannon is asleep and tells her to go outside to play. She is seen on surveillance outside. Investigators believe this is when Letitia was cleaning the crime scene.
Mm-hmm.
So
finally, Al, the dad, texts Gannon again at 3:55 and says, "Hey, buddy." And that text wasn't read until 7:40 p.m.
Yeah. So you have to remember, and correct me if I'm wrong, but she told Al that he wasn't feeling well, didn't she?
I think she did, yeah. And I almost think those pictures of him sleeping, I don't know if she sent them to him, but she did make a comment that they sent a lot of pictures to Al when he was out of town. Yeah. So I don't know. I just kind of felt like I'd be curious to know if she sent that picture to him.
Yeah.
Just to kind of make it seem like all's well. And I say it wasn't planned, But then again, sometimes you kind of look at what transpired that day and maybe it was kind of planned.
Yeah.
Or maybe she was on the verge and something happened where she snapped. I don't know.
Yeah. But like he's texting his son back.
Yeah.
Asking, hey, buddy.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing.
So at 4:42, Harley, her daughter, gets home from work, gets Lena, and leaves. 3 minutes later at 4:52, Letitia texts Harley to pick up carpet powder, and she puts 2 things. So I assume she's wanting 2 containers of carpet powder. Baking soda, trash bags, and the receipt confirms this purchase at 5:14 p.m.
Yeah.
And so what did the investigators note?
So that Gannon's sheets were different in the body cam footage from the morning photos of Gannon sleeping.
Right. And then just today, we saw this video for the first time of Letitia. It almost seems like, I'm going to tell you, I think this was almost made as sort of a cover-up.
Yeah, your theory on that's pretty good.
I think Gannon was at least hurt at this point. I don't know if maybe she had punched him but this kid just sounds like more than scared.
Yeah.
But I kind of feel like maybe this video was made, total speculation, to back up the fact that Gannon was terrified because we didn't talk about this. Apparently there was a candle that has spilt on the carpet.
Yeah, the wax.
The wax, and you can't get that stuff up.
No.
I got a big spot right now. And he thought he was in trouble for that. So the video starts and she's talking to Gannon. And she's asking him, did he mean to do it? Did he mean to put the wax on the floor? And he's like, no. And she says, pinky promise? And he says, pinky.
Yeah, like he's sobbing like out
loud.
Yeah.
But he sounds hurt to me. I mean, it's not a kid just sad or upset.
She's saying,
we're gonna have
to move. They're gonna kick us out. We're gonna have to sell the furniture to pay to have it fixed.
Oh yeah, it was. And I think in that she is, it almost seems like, is she trying to make him feel more scared? Like your dad's gonna freak out. Look what you've done. We got to sell furniture. We might lose our house. Was that kind of meant to scare him even more, to kind of invoke that emotion on the camera that this kid is just so upset? He's terrified. That's probably why he ran away.
Yeah, I think that was leading up to that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It just seemed very, she seemed scripted.
Yep.
Like she knew what she was going to say.
Yeah.
So it was very sad.
Yeah. So on Tuesday, January 28th, Letitia texts the babysitter. The sitter asked where he was supposed to be. And Letitia, honestly, I don't keep up with friends.
That's crazy. This kid's 11.
Yeah.
My daughter's 15 and I know where she is all the time.
Oh yeah.
And I'm gonna know when she's 17 where she is all the time, because that's what parents do.
She's gonna be 37. You going?
What you
where
doing?
you at?
I know. Right?
So then 8:30 a.m. Letitia rents a 2019 Kia Rio from Avis in Colorado Springs. And that's a weird rental because there was nothing wrong with her car.
Yeah.
Like, who goes out and spends extra money when you just said you were going to sell the furniture to fix a carpet?
Yeah.
And you're going to go out and rent a car?
Yeah.
People pay extra money?
Yeah. Somebody that murdered a little boy the day before does that.
Yeah.
So at 8:48 a.m., Letitia texts Harley and tells her to pull her car into the garage.
Yeah.
Which Al at this point is on his way home from his deployment to be there because the son's missing.
Yeah.
I kind of think maybe she did this. It's like, okay, he's on his way home. She has no time to double, triple check anything. I'm sure she probably was getting paranoid. As soon as he gets home, he's going to see something out of place and know what's up.
Yep.
Kind of felt like maybe she told her to pull that car into the garage just in case.
Yeah.
There's something on that ground.
Yep.
That might hide it.
Yeah. So
with the Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
This is your captain speaking. We've got clear runway and the weather's fine, but we're just going to circle up here a while and get lucky. No, nothing like that. It's just these cash prizes add up quick. So I suggest you sit back, keep your tray table upright, and start getting lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Are you feeling lucky? No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
Okay, round 2. Name something that's not boring.
A laundry? Ooh, a book club. Computer solitaire, huh?
Ah, sorry, we were looking for Chumba Casino. That's right, ChumbaCasino.com has over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
8:50 a.m. Letitia picks up Al from the airport and stops at King Soopers, which is a grocery store, and Wendy's.
Mm-hmm. At 12:57, there is a search inquiry on her phone. Can Nintendo find my Switch? Now, she already had asked that the day before. If you remember, she had already Googled.
Yep.
So I think at this point, she's a little paranoid.
Yeah.
Daddy's coming home. Investigators are coming around. So she's second guessing things now.
Yep. So investigators asked Letitia for Gannon's toothbrush.
Yeah, and then this text exchange was so weird.
Yeah. So she texts Al and says, they are asking for our son's toothbrush, but said nothing is wrong. And then she says, something isn't right. I think they're hiding something. And Al says, who, the police? And she says, yes, they asked for toothbrushes. And Al says, what do you think they're hiding?
You spelled, what are you hiding wrong?
Yeah.
But I think that's just one of those panic tweets where at this point, Al probably doesn't suspect her at all. And then for her, it's almost like she's asking him for reassurance that she's not about to get busted.
Yeah.
Why would they ask for his toothbrush? Do you watch Forensic Files? Clearly not. Do you
Obviously, you're getting DNA.
Yeah.
I mean, come on now.
Right. They don't want to see what kind of toothpaste he uses.
Exactly.
What a moron.
So at 7 p.m., Letitia picks up her Volkswagen Tiguan from the Colorado Springs airport. Between 7 p.m. and 12 a.m., investigators believe she dumped the body. Her car is located in the area between 8:30 and 10:20.
But so this can get confusing because they're saying between 7 and 12. But between 9:16 and 10:28, she is in the area that is very isolated where they found other evidence and drives out.
Yeah, I want to say, wasn't it like a dead end area? I think there was a dead end or something.
I haven't looked at any maps on that yet, but I think it was pretty isolated.
It was isolated, yeah. That's where I would go to buy a bike for my husband for Valentine's Day.
Yeah, out in the middle of nowhere without my phone.
Yeah, yeah.
Makes perfect sense.
Yeah.
So at 10:26, so at 10:28, we know she drives out of this area. 10:26, Harley picks Letitia up.
You mean 9:28? It's okay.
What, huh?
It's okay. You said 10:28.
I'm sorry. 10:26 is when Harley picks up Letitia.
Yep.
It's the number thing. You know our math skills. Or just numbers in general. And where Harley picked Letitia up is about 33 to 35 miles away from the site where she dumped his body.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I'm looking at our notes. I have a time just randomly stuck in here. The 10:45. Sorry, that's where that came from.
Gotcha.
My eyes are going all over this page.
Gotcha. So Letitia makes a statement to investigators via a text message.
And I'm just gonna say again, I almost feel like she's fishing here. You know, she's reaching out to law enforcement. What do you want from me? Because I have nothing. She's telling them subconsciously, quit looking at me. I'm not your girl.
Yeah, and says one of your very own leaked to me what you guys were doing. She says I did nothing, or I'm being set up. I'm not even sure. Other than being told that by another, she's saying another officer with El Paso is telling her some stuff. I was told I couldn't go home to sleep. And on top of that, men were sent to a home with a minor female, and she was forced to stay there.
Yeah, I mean, this is the text message, so I'm not sure where she's going with this, but.
Yeah. I assume she's talking about Lena. Is that who she's talking about?
I don't know what she means. Men were sent home with a minor female.
I don't know.
And she was forced to stay there, not to even have good.
Yeah. Here's my deal. Like, we're just normal people, right? So law enforcement, and we know a lot of cops and detectives and stuff, they deal with this stuff every day.
Yeah.
So they can read your actions and your reactions better than anything.
Exactly. I mean, just nonverbal communication.
Yeah.
They're trained on that. It's kind of like the mom lie detector.
Yeah.
I can tell if my kid is about to lie to me or fabricate an argument with their sibling and just make the other one out to be evil before they open their mouth.
Yeah.
It's the same with investigators. You can't tell somebody who does this day in and day out. You're not going to fool somebody.
Yeah.
That does this for a living.
Exactly.
Because if you fool them, by the time they pull all your GPS data and DNA stuff, you're busted.
Oh, most definitely. So the detective responds and says, "Come in to talk to me. I would just like information to find Gannon." So that's all they were asking her. Yeah. Well, if you have something to hide, you're not going to want to talk to him.
Well, of course, yeah.
And we're getting ready to get into the neighbor. So Drayton and his wife, Tamika, there was like a little group standing in the front yard because a lot of people came to help look for him.
Yeah.
They were looking through the snow and everything and had dogs out and everything. But so they approach her and tell her that Mr. Drayton says, "I have my video cameras on my house actually catch your property. Would you like me to go look and see what I can see?" And she says no. His wife then says that she was kind of smiling and acting like nothing was really wrong.
That sounds familiar.
Exactly.
Reminds you of when Charles was killed by Alex.
Exactly.
I mean, you've got that body cam footage of her just smiling.
Of Lori, yeah.
Hi,
nothing. Neighbor. Yeah, all that stuff.
Sorry, neighbor.
Yeah.
Every time I see that footage, I laugh when that woman brings her trash out because she didn't need to bring that trash out.
No,
at
she
that
being
moment.
nosy. You would have done the same thing.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, you'd have been out there.
I'd have been cleaning out drawers just to.
Yeah, I would have been out there cutting my grass with some scissors or something. So she just said it was like she was at a barbecue.
Yeah, clearly, it raised flags with the neighbors.
I mean, and then later on she gets on other tangents talking about people not telling the truth about her and all, and I'm like,
but think about what the neighbor said. She's out there carefree, smiling, nothing's wrong, when couple of days before, she's saying that her and Gannon were violently raped and he was kidnapped, and I don't want to see surveillance. I'm okay, I'm happy, I'm not sad.
Yeah. I mean, come on.
Yeah.
So then we move on to Wednesday, January 29th. And this is when the Kia Rio is returned in the morning, and Harley picks her up.
Mm-hmm. At 11:30 that morning, she is back in the Volkswagen, and she is seen at a car wash, and they possibly, on the surveillance, see blood on the bumper.
Yeah.
And then at 12 o'clock, 30 minutes later, she goes to the police station for an interview. The car is still wet from being washed.
Golly. I mean, that's crazy.
We're going to start doing dumb criminals every now and then.
This is like number one.
I think we just hit the jackpot.
Yeah. So she also brings notes with her to refer to during the interview. Like, I'm pretty much sure they're just going to ask you questions, and if you're honest, you don't need a notepad.
Right.
So this is where all starts unraveling.
This is during the interview.
Yeah. So Letitia claims she was held at gunpoint, raped by a Hispanic male named Eduardo, and Gannon was abducted by a male after he finished raping her. She claims that the man was in the basement when she came home on January 27th, that he allowed her to greet Lena.
Right. Now, the one thing to remember is we didn't cover this. How Eduardo came into the picture, according to Letitia, is after Gannon spilled the wax, or supposedly spilled the wax on the carpet, she found him at a construction site and asked if he could fix the carpet. She says she gave him this total stranger that she just walked up to a construction site to and says, here's my keypad. I'll pay you to fix my carpet. So that's how Eduardo supposedly came into the picture.
Yeah.
Okay.
And she gave him, I don't know if you said this, but she gave him the code to get in her garage.
Yeah, I just said that, but
yeah, I'm sorry. I wasn't listening. I got a text. I had to answer it.
That's okay.
So she claims the man raped her between 3:30 and 4:30.
Mm-hmm.
So she claims she may have hit her head and blacked out.
Mm-hmm. She said that Gannon jumped on the rapist's back.
Yeah.
And he threw Gannon across the room and held him at gunpoint and demanded a suitcase and a cardboard box.
Yeah. Now, remember, all this is after she's already said that he went to a friend's house and never came home.
Yeah.
So, or possibly ran away.
Mm-hmm.
She claims that she cleaned up the area. The detectives offer her a rape exam and she declines it. They get a search warrant for her DNA. So they seize her phone. End of the interview, Letitia sticks tissues down her pants, claiming chest pain and shortness of breath.
I think she did that not to leave any DNA, but they got the search warrant and got it.
Yeah.
They transported her to the hospital, and I think in the affidavit they call it like a miraculous recovery.
Yeah.
Like as soon as she gets to the hospital, she's okay.
Yep.
And then she leaves without telling investigators, and then she is picked up by somebody who I don't know that they know who it is, but she was reunited with Harley a few miles away.
Yep.
So what did investigators find in the house?
So I have a dishwasher at home. And this is one of the items that I've never seen anyone, nor have I, put in a dishwasher. She had carpet brushes in her dishwasher.
Yeah, I don't do that. I just don't want dog hair on my fork.
No, exactly. And they found an empty gallon of vinegar, which all that we know is for cleaning and cleaning up blood. So Letitia rents a 2020 Nissan Altima, and the police actually get a I don't even know, approval to install the GPS device on there.
I think they have to get a warrant.
Yeah, so they can track wherever she goes.
But they don't have to let her know,
no.
Obviously, because, hey, we're tracking you, so.
Hey, or you can be a PI and do that, because that's what Brandon's PI did, remember?
Oh, yeah, he was great.
Yeah. So at 2:14, Letitia texts the homeowner, and it's kind of weird because you kind of get in the middle of the conversation. Mm-hmm. So she starts and says, when we came back inside from the smoke, there was blood on both of us. I didn't know what to do. I was scared I think she was saying they would get thrown out the house.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he should go to the doctor. I kept trying to add the candle thing. She's saying I kept trying to add the candle thing, but Albert kept saying it was small and minor. I was scared the basement was smoky, and when I threw the cover, we both had blood. Then she says, you don't understand how it is to be a stepmom.
Yeah. So I wonder if the blood was maybe a cover for if they found blood in the house.
Yeah.
You know, it almost seems like she's trying to stay one step ahead, but in a really hilariously bad way.
Yeah. And it sounds like she may have made something up.
Mm-hmm.
About him getting hurt outside or something.
Well, I don't know if she's talking about the blood from what she said was the cut on his foot, which
yep.
Yeah, but
yeah.
But then she also says that at some point when the candle was in play, he was burned bad enough for it to bubble up on his skin, and that he had popped that bubble and smeared blood on the wall.
Yep.
But I mean, to soak, obviously we know what she did to him to a degree, but to soak through carpet pad onto the concrete and
That's
have
a lot of blood.
50 droplets of blood you see on the wall. That's not a cut from a blister. I don't even know that I've had a blister bleed.
Look, I've had a lot of blisters because I'm fair skinned and get sunburn.
Oh yeah.
Mine didn't bleed.
Yeah, I've never had a blister bleed enough to smear on a wall either.
No. So then we're going to jump to Friday, the 30th. So January 30th. Gannon is listed as a missing child.
They did that because of the weather conditions. It's cold in Colorado in January. February is like bone chilling cold.
Yeah.
And then also just they said a need for medication and his age. So, but it took a few days, you can see.
Yeah.
For them to, I mean, I'm sure at this point they knew probably enough to where they knew Letitia was responsible. Or had reasonable suspicion.
She was
so weird.
Yeah. Yep. So Friday the 31st, January 31st, Letitia goes back to where she dumped Gannon. Investigators believe she did this to be sure he wasn't visible from the road. Mm-hmm. They believe she put his remains back in the car.
See, I kind of wonder here, is this a situation where, because they say like that she went to make sure the remains weren't visible. I wonder if she had already planned to leave Colorado, or if kind of like, if this was, I mean, I just don't see why she would put the body 30, 35 miles away, go back and pick it up. It just seems to me like that was unplanned. Like maybe all of a sudden when she started to realize this wasn't going to go well for her, she's going to get the body and just get out of there.
Yep.
It just seems, that's why I say I don't think a lot of this was planned.
Yeah.
It just seems really backtracky and risky.
Yep. So Letitia gives interview to a local news group. This was the craziest thing.
Everybody online called her cousin It. Because she wasn't facing the camera. So all you see is her black hair in the back.
Yeah, you see her back to the camera. Now the little reporter, he's on there. Mm-hmm. And so she just says all this stuff about Facebook, people attacking her on Facebook. She also talks about the cops denied her an attorney, water, or a bathroom when she was being questioned, and said that Harley was pulled over, handcuffed with guns drawn, and the cops said they would shoot her. Like, she's saying all this stuff, and I'm just listening to it saying it's just lie after lie after lie.
Yeah. I think, this case, I still can't believe, like, just, these lies. It's just, how did she ever think that they would be good enough?
Yeah.
But I mean, murderers are convinced that they're going to get away with it for the most part, but man, she's just stupid.
Yeah, it's like what we said about Lori. Like, she talks and says all these lies, and it's like she's convinced that's truth. And but it's like one lie after the other. Like, she's just a pathological liar.
But I guess if she is convinced it's truth, then she just figures it would be very easy for anybody else to believe it.
Yeah.
Because in her mind, she knows the truth, but
so I know what I was going to interject here. So we had a case here. I don't even know. We were probably in high school, I guess. It's a Susan Smith case.
Oh, yeah.
Where the mom drowned her kids, like rolled her car in the woods. Mm-hmm. And it's the same thing. She claims that somebody hijacked her car. Mm-hmm. And, for a week or whatever, she's on the news. They're pleading for the kid's return, all this stuff. And then you find out she killed them.
Well, initially what she said was that, and I know it's bad, we call red lights that don't turn green for a long time here in South Carolina. We call them Susan Smith red lights.
I still do.
Yeah, I do too. Yeah. Because she was claiming that she was at this red light.
With Lucky Land Slots, you can get lucky just about anywhere.
Dearly beloved, we are gathered here today to... Has anyone seen the bride and groom?
Sorry, we're here. We were getting lucky in the limo and we lost track of time.
No, Lucky Land Casino, with cash prizes that add up quicker than a guest registry.
In that case, I pronounce you lucky.
Play for free at LuckyLandSlots.com. Daily bonuses are waiting. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+. Terms and conditions apply. See website for details.
That was taking forever to turn green. And she said that a black male jumped in the car and took off with the boys.
Yep.
So there was a sketch put out.
Yeah, like she did the whole deal. And her husband, they're crying on pleading for it because the kids were just little.
They were
little.
like 2 and 1.
Yeah,
or maybe like 3 and 1.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
But it's the same deal.
Yeah.
Like she's claiming all this stuff.
Right. But ultimately for her, it was just that she was having an affair with a man who didn't want kids.
Yeah.
And he wrote her a letter and said, I don't want kids. It wasn't a mean letter. He just was literally saying, like, this is not what I want for my life, but you'll find somebody who will love those kids.
Yeah.
And so I think the theory was, that it was an attempt to get rid of the kids.
Yeah. So the thing about the red light is it had to be triggered by a car sitting at the other red light. Mm-hmm. And there was no witness. There was no other car at the red light. So she wouldn't have been sitting there that long. So
right.
That's why we called it
a Susan Smith red light.
Yep.
It's a Southern thing. Sorry.
It is. Sorry.
So on February the 1st, detectives find blood on the rear of her vehicle, the rear passenger seat, the front passenger seat, and near the glove box. They also find a bloody sock and particle board with Gannon's blood on it near where she dumped his body.
Yep.
And the excuse as to why the particle board would have been there is because Al does woodworking, and she said sometimes they will haul off excess wood, to go take it, I guess, to the dump or whatever.
Yeah. Wow. So
socks and wood flying out of the back of a truck.
Yeah.
I mean, it's so convenient.
Yeah. It's we should keep a list of how many lies this has been because we're already at like 500. And
if we had $1 for every one,
I know, right?
We'd be on a beach in Mexico.
Yeah. So they find 50 droplets of it's a tongue twister. Suspected blood on the walls near his bed. Mm-hmm. That's a lot of blood.
Yeah. Clearly, the volume of blood in his room was a lot.
Yeah. So we do know that the cops have reached out and asked if anybody saw Letitia between February 3rd and February 5th to contact them.
And this is in Florida.
Yeah.
So what we think is after she did this interview with on the 31st, either she had Gannon's body in the car as she did the interview, or it has to be because they had her pegged at the area. Was it earlier that morning? She was back in the area where Gannon was. See, this is where, like, this case being new, I'm literally thinking out loud here. Sorry.
Yeah, it gets a little.
But regardless,
yeah.
The day she gave the interview, we think, is when she left Colorado Springs with Gannon's body.
Yep.
And then so we get to the 1st. They find all this evidence of blood. And then February 4th and the 5th, Letitia puts up a video of Gannon on Facebook waving. And Gannon's biological mom and obviously the general public were super mad that she put this up. And Letitia says, well, maybe he's waving hello instead of goodbye in the picture. This is also when the surveillance video is released. And when Al saw it, what did he do?
He cried and said she lied. He didn't go to a friend's house.
Yeah. So, but if you think about it, he goes missing and you're looking at, it takes about, a week for Al to really just be like, okay.
Yeah. But remember, during all this time, she wasn't at the house. So.
Oh, that's right.
Remember his ex-wife, Landon, comes in and she stays at their home.
Right, like any normal set of parents would do when your child's missing.
Yeah.
Apparently it ticked Letitia off. And
yeah, I mean, we've discussed it. Like, even though you're divorced, when something like this happens, it causes you to drop all that and you're just worried about your kid.
Oh, yeah.
So she doesn't like it. Letitia doesn't like it. So they leave. And we discussed this. I find it hard to believe the police wouldn't allow her to let them escort her back in if she would have asked. Escorted back in to get some clothes.
Yeah, I mean.
I just find that a little hard to believe they wouldn't do that.
She probably didn't want to go back in that house.
No.
She's just blaming everybody for every bad thing that happens to her, but
she didn't want to be called on the carpet. Like,
right, yeah,
come
yeah.
on.
Exactly. So on February the 12th, Letitia starts blaming social media for harassment, and she tries to fill in some details about Gannon and her actions around the time of his disappearance, but it only raises more suspicions.
Yeah. Yep. So February 13th, investigators start monitoring calls between Letitia and Al, and he's cooperative. He knows they're monitoring them.
Mm-hmm.
So Letitia states that Gannon burned himself so bad on his skin that his skin bubbled, and she says he picked it and smeared blood on the wall. The thing there is, nobody had mentioned anything about there being blood on the wall.
Right. And that's a good point.
Yeah.
Because how is she, if she didn't do anything to him, how would she know there was blood on the wall? Because it was clean.
Yeah. Why are you making an excuse why there would be blood found on the wall?
But I've noticed she does this a lot. She anticipates questions like that, and she tries to provide answers before the questions are even asked.
Yeah, and it makes sure she did it again on something else. I don't remember, but there's twice that she has made a statement and nobody asked or said anything about it.
Mm-hmm.
And this case has a gag order on it.
Yeah.
Like, the judge issued a gag order, so they haven't released a lot. Like, we got all the stuff from the affidavit because somebody leaked it illegally.
Yeah, I think they were arrested or they got in big trouble for leaking this.
Yeah.
But I know just from the earlier articles I read or Facebook groups that I kind of visited in the last couple of days, there was kind of with the Vallow case, the same level of frustration that any kind of news or updates were non-existent for a while.
Yeah. So on February 14th, in a phone call with Al, she says that the rapist was Quincy Brown. So we went from Eduardo to now Quincy Brown.
Now Quincy was on Pikes Peak most wanted list.
Yeah, he was like the most wanted person in Colorado.
Yeah.
So
let's pick one of the most wanted people.
Yeah, and also that he was still in the house when the cops came. So she says she tried to tell him.
Yeah, I mean, if I've got cops at my house and there's a rapist in my basement, I'm going to grab the cop and run out my yard.
Yeah, I'm going to say,
there's a rapist in the house.
Thank goodness you're here because there's a guy, he's still, you know what I mean?
Right,
yeah. So she says that the rapist abducted Gannon, that she knew who he was because an ID fell out of his pocket. She sent a picture of Quincy Brown to Al.
Yes. And you could probably just find that with a Google search of who's wanted.
Oh, yeah.
What I'm interested to see is, in the affidavit, they've definitely released some Google searches that were just, I don't know, does she just Google random thoughts? Because her Google searches are crazy.
I don't think she knows what a Google search is.
I don't know what she's doing, but I mean, she's just having conversations with Google. Is she that lonely that she's
It was
having
like a journal. It was like a journal.
Maybe she was trying to ask Siri.
I don't know.
To have some companionship.
It would be like, I don't even know if we have this in here or whatever, but it was stuff like, my husband doesn't pay attention to me.
Yeah.
It wasn't, what do you do to make your husband pay attention? It was like, my husband doesn't pay attention to me. You know what I mean?
And one of them was like, is the biological mom going to buy me a gift for taking care of her son or for some holiday or something?
It's like she's shaking an 8-ball and waiting on an answer.
That's funny.
Like, come on now. Come on.
Will I go to jail?
Yes.
Does not look good.
Yes. So she says that Quincy followed her home from Petco. That he was laying in the road in front of her car. When she stopped to prevent from running over him, he jumped in the car and made her drive to her house. Oh, man.
It's like a movie. I mean, I've seen this like on American Horror Story where, somebody is in the middle of the road and they get hit because they want to do you harm.
Yeah.
But,
yeah. No. I just can't believe it.
There's no word. I'm sitting here literally like, what in the world?
Yeah. Yeah. You would think, okay, and I understand when you tell a lie, you have to tell 35 million other lies to cover up the one lie. But you would think, I mean, you would keep the same lie. I mean, why do you keep? Because you're talking to police.
It's almost like she was thinking about things, and then the scenario she comes up with a couple of days later is, in her mind, much better than the original one. So it's almost like she didn't think there would be a consequence for 3 completely different stories.
Yes.
Like, they're just going to say, oh, yeah, okay, now she remembers what
happened.
happened.
Let me wipe this out on the report. Let me wipe this out.
Wait, let me get the eraser.
Yeah, exactly.
She made a boo-boo.
So then she says Gannon was riding his bike and fell and hit his head, and Quincy abducted him.
And this was in the area where his body was, if I'm not mistaken. She's saying that they went all the way to this area for him to ride his bike, and then Gannon falls, starts bleeding, and Al abducts him. So Al has gone from Petco to...
Not Al, but Quincy.
I mean, I'm sorry. Yeah,
it's all right.
I got to get these names straight.
It's okay.
It just, I mean, I'm just surprised that like she was stupid enough to tell 3 different alibis.
Yeah.
Not even alibi, but what happened.
Excuses. So she says the blood in Gannon's room is a mix of hers and Gannon's because they were both raped.
Just gross.
Yeah. So February 16th, Al and Landon tell Letitia to stop making statements to the media.
So they're ganging up on her.
Yeah.
Mom and Dad are saying, hush.
Yeah. But if you remember, in the one where she's got her back turned, he asked her something. She's like, no, I can't discuss the case. That's what she says.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, she says in the thing, like, okay, I can't really talk about the case, but I can tell you this and this and this and this. So
she said she told Al that Gannon fell and hit his head because she thought that's what he wanted to hear.
Yeah.
That made no sense to me.
No.
I don't know what she meant by that, but so then on February the 7th okay, what's up with our tongues?
I don't know.
We're not in a food coma.
Yeah, no, we haven't even eaten yet.
I think it's just a new case and we're a little nervous.
Yeah.
So she tells someone on February 17th that she is thinking about flying to Colorado for a lie detector test. And then she says they still think I'm in Colorado. So at this point, she's in Myrtle Beach.
Yeah.
Then on the 18th, she calls a number for fakepolygraph.com.
This is the craziest thing
I've never heard of fakepolygraph.com. That's hilarious.
Yeah.
And says she never got the confirmation for the test she paid for. And what it is you submit to this company the questions that you supposedly answered during this fake polygraph, and they send like a certificate. And they essentially tell her like, nah, my manager won't let me do this. We can't do anything.
They take her money.
Yeah. So she's like, so what do you do now? You just delete it and go on about life and keep the money? And he's like, well, yes, we do indeed. And she's like, okay, I got you. Thank you. Goodbye. Because what's she going to do? Call the cops and say fakepolygraph.com kept my money?
Exactly. Like, I just don't understand it. You're going to get a certificate and put on your wall that you passed the polygraph?
Right. Even the ones the cops give you, they can't use against you. It's just, it's more, I think really polygraphs, not only does it answer questions for law enforcement, but I think it really puts the pressure on the person they're looking at.
Yeah.
Even though they're not admissible in court, it's just, we've all seen the movies where somebody's like strapped up.
Oh, yeah.
And it's just a very unsettling thing, I think, in general. So,
when we was kids and we'd get in trouble and tell a lie.
Oh my gosh, my mama threatened to take me to the police station.
Exactly, my one too. I'm gonna take you down to the police station. We're gonna get you a polygraph. Say
yeah,
if you did
Pat.
Are you the one who ate the cookies?
Yeah.
Miss Pat, you on here?
Yeah, she's like, well, let's go now. I'm gonna take you. And
Yeah.
I'd be like, I'm
You going
sorry.
down there.
Here's what really happened.
Yeah.
Boy, that child psychology.
I know, right?
Oh, I use it all day, every day.
Yeah. So some of the questions she asked on there, so that's what it raised a flag in the system is why they wouldn't give her a thing. Yeah. But I guess she was going to put it on social media because that's what she kept saying in the interviews when she was talking. I can't wait for the truth to come out and everybody know that I didn't do anything and y'all are going to have to apologize because I didn't do anything. You know what I mean?
What would have been bad is they would have sent her a report and she posted it in like the bottom right in tiny writing, fakepolygraph.com.
That would be great.
So on February 27th, they call the search off for Gannon.
Yep.
28th, what happens?
The arrest warrant is signed for Letitia.
March the 2nd, she's arrested and charged with first-degree murder, tampering with the body, and child abuse resulting in death.
So she's on March 4th, she is extradited from Myrtle Beach to Colorado. And on the way, she gets out of handcuffs and attacks the officer enough to send them to the hospital. And they put her in jail in Kansas for like 12 hours.
Yeah. I'm curious, did they only have one officer escorting her?
No, I bet it was more than one. I would think it'd been more than one.
I don't know. I would think it'd be more than one for sure. Yeah. But so he had to go get treatment.
Yeah.
And they put her into Pokey for 12 hours in Kansas. So March 4th is when she was extradited. On the 18th, they found his body in Pace, Florida, and the 9 additional charges were filed, and we read those off at the top of the show.
Yeah.
So that's where we're going to stop today, up to the arrest. So we're going to kind of do this like we did Vallow, where we just sort of dive into the depths of the case, and we're going to read through a lot of stuff. We just haven't had time yet. So we just wanted to get through at least from the day he went missing till she was arrested.
Yeah.
And for those of you that know the case, sorry it's really boring, but I promise you in a few episodes we're going to start trying to dig deeper and maybe find some things that go in a direction that is new.
Yep.
So for the new format, eventually, once we kind of get through this case, we kind of want to do a little brief news segment at the beginning where we might pick 2 or 3 really good legal articles or little cases. Sometimes they're a little crazy, sometimes they're funny, but just a little roundup of news stories, and then do kind of the bulk of what we're going to talk about. And then eventually we would like to start doing maybe an episode here and there on famous cases of the past, like Jodi Arias or James Holmes. And I sat in on those trials a little bit in those courtrooms. Or we may even do like a cold case where there's a missing person or an unsolved crime.
Yeah.
So we kind of just want to branch out. We love doing this. It's, half the time we'd be hanging out anyway.
Yep.
But Fruit Loop has found a passion for this, and she's super good at it.
It's fun.
I love it. I mean,
I like interacting with people. They're like the people who listen and you comment. Like, we read all your comments.
We do.
And don't think just because we put like or heart or whatever, I try to respond as much as I can, but we read them all.
You guys are awesome. We can usually after we put out an episode. Now that YouTube's back up running between like Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook, we would have hundreds of comments.
Yeah.
It's crazy. Yeah. The number of people that listen. We never thought we would have these numbers in the beginning, and we just do it because we enjoy it.
Yeah.
But you guys are great.
Yeah. So remember, if you're on YouTube, hit the little bell and the little subscribe button so you know when we put up new stuff. So
yeah. So we're really excited about the direction that we're going to go. We're hoping once COVID is a thing of the past that we can go sit in on some hearings, some trials. So we just kind of feel like we're motivated to not just be lazy with this and just do one case. So we'll see where it takes us, and hope you guys come along and stay with us for the ride.
Yeah, thank you for listening.
How much time, Fruit Loop, have we taken?
1 hour and 14 minutes.
Holy mackerel.
Yeah.
Well, this was just, to get the basics out. Yeah. And so we'll try to have it a little more tight fitting next time.
So the ladies that reach out and always say, it's too short. Now, at least you got 1 hour and almost 15 minutes now. So.
Well, there you go.
Yep.
So we will talk to you guys on Sunday.
Yep.
Our other day of the week. And if you have any suggestions or anything, hit us up on social media, and we appreciate you guys.
Yep. Thanks for listening.
Have a good one.
Judy was boring.
Hello.
Then Judy discovered ChumbaCasino.com.
It's my little escape.
Now Judy's the life of the party.
Oh, baby, mama's bringing home the bacon.
Whoa, take it easy, Judy. The Chumba life is for everybody. So go to ChumbaCasino.com and play over 100 casino-style games. Join today and play for free for your chance to redeem some serious prizes. ChumbaCasino.com. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. 18+ terms and conditions apply. See website for details.